first, let's turn to Israel. Now, the United Nations have had a responsibility and an obligation to enforce their own Security Council Resolution 1701 since the end of the Second Lebanon War in 2006. That UN resolution decreed that Hezbollah needed to stay north of the Litani River and not militarize southern Lebanon near the border with Israel. For the past 18 years, the United Nations has comprehensively failed to keep the peace. Instead, literally right under their watch, Hezbollah amassed stockpiles of weapons and built tunnels. With UNIFIL officials not far away, Hezbollah used this area as a base to relentlessly attack Israel since October the 8th, striking while the nation was at its most vulnerable in the wake of the October 7 massacre. More than 8,000 rockets have been fired, 12 children playing soccer murdered, and 80,000 Israelis have been forced to flee their homes. During all this time, Western leaders were silent. There were no demands of Hezbollah for a ceasefire or to stop their attacks on Israel. With international diplomacy a dead duck, Israel had no choice but to step in, fight the terrorists, and defend their own citizens. Western leaders became deeply upset that Israel would dare defend itself and almost immediately demanded a ceasefire. Well, now overnight, Britain, Italy, France, and Germany released a joint statement wrongly accusing Israel of deliberately attacking UNIFIL sites after 8 employees were injured. In their statement, they said, "We call on Israel and on all parties to uphold their obligations to ensure the safety and security of UNIFIL personnel at all times and to allow UNIFIL to continue carrying out its mandate. We reaffirm the essential stabilising role played by UNIFIL in southern Lebanon." They said, "We underscore the importance of the United Nations in resolving armed conflict and mitigating the humanitarian impact," and so on. What a joke, what a laugh. UNIFIL has done less than nothing to stop the build-up of terror on the border of Israel. UNIFIL has done nothing to stop the terror attacks on Israelis, including little children, one devastated mother who I had on this program. What an absurd statement, a stabilising role. What rubbish. The Israeli Prime Minister pushed back today, telling UN workers to get out of the way.
The charge that Israel deliberately attacked UNIFIL personnel is completely false. It's exactly the opposite. Israel repeatedly asked UNIFIL to get out of harm's way. It repeatedly asked them to temporarily leave the combat zone, which is right next to Israel's border with Lebanon. In fact, on the day that Israel began its ground operation next to our border with Lebanon, we asked them specifically, please leave this area so you're not harmed.
The evidence we've seen this week of Hezbollah operating within a whisker's breadth of UNIFIL is a wake-up call. It's further evidence that the United Nations simply enables terrorism instead of protecting nations against its barbarism. The reality is the ineffective UNIFIL has basically become human shields for Hezbollah. This is truly a new low for the United Nations, watching the build-up of terrorism in breach of their own Security Council resolution and saying nothing, just allowing Israelis to be killed.